What's going on, everybody? I know I've been gone for quite a bit. I did a stream, I think, a couple of days ago, but I'm trying to get back into the regular flow of actually publishing videos. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up why I was kind of gone. I know I missed a lot of game releases. One of my favorites that I've been looking forward to so many years, Burden of Command, right, and numerous other games. And that's mainly because life, we moved here in fall of pretty much winter of 2024, and we had to move because the place that we were at was falling apart, literally mold everywhere, like behind the walls. I mean, it was got so bad that we had a family member visit. They had to go to ER because just the conditions there. We were all getting sick all the time. This place, we're paying a little bit more, but it's like, we're doing a mortgage kind of thing, but it's a much smaller space, so I don't have much. I don't actually have an office anymore, so yeah. Anyway, and beginning of this year, actually last year, the company I was working for was called Aclara. A lot of I didn't publicly mention that before because I was working there. So I was working for Aclara, and was it last year or December of 2023? R1 bought us out, right? Aclara was like regional, and R1 was like nationwide. So they were a bigger company. So they bought out Aclara, and they kept us on for about a year plus to do the transition. It was a big transition, and like when I came into Aclara, we just bought like 5, 6, 7 companies, something like that. So we were transitioning them to Aclara, and then R1 came and bought us. So now we had to like. So to imagine the transition process, it was a lot. I was like a tier 2 technician, so we dealt with pretty much every type of ticket that came across, and we were kind of given the kind of I wouldn't say promise, but basically we were told that like there was going to be a spot for us at R1, right? And I did some research and I found out, I'm like, wait, this is weird. Is like I don't see any R1 tech positions in the U.S., right? Like I was like going through it. By the way, that's my son if you hear him. And I was like, this is kind of weird for a big company. They have no IT positions available. And I checked worldwide. They did have IT positions available. It was just in India and the Philippines. So I remember asking my boss, and they were like, yeah, their whole help desk, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, IT manager, I think network administrators, system administrators, I believe too, basically, were all over there. So I kind of like, and many of us got worried that like, hey, are we gonna be here? Like, is that really gonna be space for us? So they, within 2024, they started laying off. We had like 100 plus IT people in Aclara. They started laying off people, and we never got like word of what we were going to be doing at R1. Like we were going to be doing the help desk, but on the US side, like what's going on. A whole year, like half a year went by with my manager constantly asking like where we're going to be, and no response. Like, hey, we don't know yet. And so somewhere toward the end of 2024, somewhere around there, I started looking for a new job because I kind of got the feeling something was not going to work out. Anyway, by the end of the year or the beginning of 2025, R1 was bought out by another company, an investment firm or whatever it was, and they made the decision like, hey, the whole IT help desk stuff is going to be in India and the Philippines. So I think by April, the whole IT department, over 100 plus people are gone. So I started looking for positions. I found a few, but like they salary wise, requirements wise, like none of them kind of worked out. I'll kind of dive into that later. But it just, like there's a certain amount of like, I have 3 kids, right? So I have to, be home. Like I could do a 12-hour day, but like anything more than that, like, 5-6 days a week. I also, and then, there was another job that came my way that was going to be basically be tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, director of IT, network admin, network engineer, system admin, all rolled in one for, all rolled in one, and would probably require 6-7 days of work, opening up a new office, laying fiber, like it was, and it was just a one-man department. So that one really didn't work out. It didn't work out for the last guy. I knew it was going to work out for me. I was kind of like to the manager, to the CEO, I was like, we need more than one person. Like, you have 5 offices. And so, like, it didn't work out anyway. So since then, I've been looking for just anything that, anything that, like, I can do in IT. It's really hard. There's not a lot of positions available. Like a good example is for Aclara. If you go into IT and you go to country and you go to US, right? There's only one job. And this is rare to find in US. India, you have 22. They're probably scaling back because I did see like pages and pages of this at one point, so I'm assuming they're scaling back. But as you can see, there's a lot here. And okay, that's not gonna work. I don't know why their page 2 doesn't work or loads. But anyway, so as you can see here, they're pretty much, their jobs are offshore too. So it's been really tough. I've been looking, and I've noticed since like February to now, the amount of IT jobs like are sinking like dramatically. So let me kind of give you an overview. So in 2020, I was working at Apple, and when I was working at Apple, my job was kind of let go because okay, so my kids needed my help. So anyway, so in March of 2020, I lost my Apple position. COVID hit, and I was an Apple corporate representative to Best Buy. I was kind of like training their staff, working with sales teams, their Geek Squad, providing feedback and stuff like that. So COVID hit. Apple kept us paid for, I think, like a month, maybe 2 months or 3 months, full salary, like just stay home. I was like, wow, okay. I never got paid just to stay home and do nothing, right? Like that was really cool of Apple. My job, unfortunately, they didn't know how long Best Buy was going to be closed, so it just didn't last. I know Apple would like other teams, they kept them on. Because like for the Apple retail stores, they had an idea of like, hey, we know when we can kind of like open up in a limited capacity and stuff like that, and they actually had people moving to different divisions. So wish it was still in the store at the time. Anyway, so I left, so I lost my job at Apple, and I started looking for jobs, and there were tons of IT jobs. When I say tons, I mean like I went on Indeed, and I would type in like help desk technician, right, or help desk, and I would, remote, whatever, and it would be like each page had like 20 or 30 jobs, and there were like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages. It was just, I would literally go to a coffee shop for like 2, 3, 4 hours applying to each one. And I didn't stay unemployed long. I was like unemployed for maybe like 2-3 weeks, something like that, and I got a job after my third or fourth interview with like a company and stuff like that, and I started working for a company called Secure 24, which was bought out by NTT, for a Japanese contractor called Shiseido. And so I started doing tier 1, tier 2 work, remote, right? And it was a great job. I really loved it. It was actually one of my favorite jobs. And so that lasted two plus years, somewhere around there. November of 2022, I think, somewhere around there. Anyway, Apple contacted me like, hey, Best Buy's opening up, would you want to come back? And I was like, is it full-time or part-time? And they were like, it's part-time. I'm like, dang. And so I calculated how much money I would make and how much money I would make full-time at NTT. And turns out it would have been like $5,000 to $10,000 difference. And I was like, oh, man. And so I was just really in a bad bind. A company I really wanted to work for. Like, this is the company that, like, I love the culture. I love the people. Like, my soul, like, just the soul of the company is just amazing. It's just amazing. And, while I loved working for NTT, for Shiseido, it was, I learned a lot. It was, I'm not saying relaxing job. You had work, but it wasn't like super stressful. I made a decision. I talked to HR for NTT. I'm like, hey, can I go part-time? They were like, no, we're only full-time. I'm like, okay. All right, well, because I got this job at Apple, it was only part-time. They were like, yeah, sorry, it's only full-time or nothing. And I'm like, okay. So I went to Apple. I basically passed on the job, which I regret to this day. Because a month later, and even if it wasn't, this didn't happen, I would still regret it to this day. A month later, I was told, like, hey, you're not going to be working for Shiseido anymore. And I'm like, oh, did I do something wrong? And they were like, no, Shiseido is offshoring their IT jobs to, I think, South Africa and a few other countries. And I'm like, oh. They were like, yeah, it comes down to just, really comes down to just expenses. I'm like, hey, can I actually, if you're paying them in South Africa $13, $14, at this point, like, I was like, even considering, like, can I just, I guess, stay here until I find another job, that matches the salary you gave me? And they were like, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, okay. So they were like, we'll switch you to another company. It was a defense contractor. But they were also possibly offshoring their jobs. And I'm like, okay. So, and then this job was so much more, like, stressful. Like, it took Shiseido and it added, like, so much complexity, so much stress. Like, it really, really, like, I'll give you a good example. I've been, like, how do I say, like, when you struggle with stress, right? Like, when I was at Shiseido and I was at Apple, like, everybody has stress at work, right? And you come home, and, like, the way I kind of dealt with stress was, like, I kind of went and I got a lot of Italian food, like a big ziti with a lot of cheese on top, maybe a pie, I don't know, so a couple of beers. So it was like, I had a really rough day. I'm just gonna pick out, I would stop by the Red Box. You guys remember Red Box? Pick out 2 or 3 movies, and it was like, Shiseido was a job that was similar. Like, every so often you would have a stressful day, and then I'll be like, all right, stressful day, Chinese food, Star Trek, blah, 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 able to manage it, Cubic was every day an unbelievable amount of stress, like, unbelievable. So I literally was like, just, all right, I'm going to relieve my stress. And I gained a lot of weight. Because you can imagine how many times I ordered food. Cubic eventually didn't last long. Offshoring jobs, the trend, like it was just the writing was on the wall and everything. So I eventually found a job with Aclara, and Aclara was like, "Hey, we're not offshoring. Like we just bought like 3 to 4 or 5 companies." I'm like, "Wow." They were like, "Yeah," and I think it was like 6 or 7 in the end or something like that. And so they were gonna grow. They had like a team of like. Had 100 plus in the IT department, but like about 20 to 30 help desk, right, ranging from tier 3 network admin, system admin, all the way to tier 1, kind of thing, somewhere around there. Anyway, so I was doing like tier 2 type of work, and it was great. Like we had our hands on everything from like command prompt, installing apps, MFA, tier 2, and maybe a little bit tier 3 sprinkled in here and there. Really loved it. And we're integrating like 6 companies into one kind of thing, so that was a really good challenge. Really loved it. Great team, really incredible team. But Aclara, like I said, was eventually bought out by R1, which R1 again at the end was bought out by investment firm, which eventually told that there's the help desk for Aclara is just gonna go away, and we're just gonna have the help desk out in India. So yeah, I think even the logistics guys were released too. They just kept the R1 logistics, which I really felt bad for those guys because those guys worked really hard. Anyway, so after that, I started. And I guess my point through all this is when I was switching to NTT, there was so many jobs, right? When I switched to Aclara, it took me, I did notice it was like, if there was like 4 out of 4 jobs, right? When I was applying for NTT as Secure 24, I noticed it was like a quarter, like 50 to 60% less jobs when I was applying for Aclara. And I was like, I thought it was just my mind, but a recruiter actually said no. She was like, I'm getting only about 25 to 35, somewhere around there, percent of the jobs for IT that I had in 2020. And I'm like, wow. Well, I'm glad I got this job. Aclara, right? And then once Aclara ended, and I left in February 2025, so a couple of months ago, I noticed. Like, we went from like 7 pages of help desk positions every day or every 2 days, right? When I was applying for NTT. Then I noticed like went down to like 3 pages, right, of help desk technician positions when I was going to Aclara. And now in February, just February, right, I noticed it was like 1 or 2 pages on a good day, right? Like that were posted. I was like, wow, there's not a lot here. And now, August, at least the last month or 2, I noticed like 1, 2, not pages, jobs, right? Like I'll go through 2 pages and I'll see like, all right, there's a help desk position here, there's a help desk position here, maybe a 3rd one. And that's it. Like, and I've had people I've talked to at companies where like a tier 1 role, I was like for $10,000 less than I was making before. So it was tier 2, but $10,000 less than I was making. She was even saying like, I'm trying to get you an interview. I'm just swamped with the applications. And like I've been on so many interviews. Usually by my like 2nd or 3rd company that I interviewed for, I would have the job, right? Now I'm on like 10, 11, or 12, and I'm like hoping. Like my last interview that I had, like I begged them, please hire me. Like that's how bad of a position I'm in. I dumped whatever. I dumped as much the stock that I had with Apple to survive, and like thinking of like, I was suggesting to my wife, like maybe you should move in with your mother, right? And I'll stay out of my vehicle, because I can't live with her mother. It's a long story. That's another video. But my wife was like, no, we all stay together. I'm like, I don't think we can stay together long. We'll have to get a roommate or something. And they were like, we can't get a roommate here. So I don't know. And I told her, I was just like, it's draining, right? And it's draining fast. Long term, like, it's not viable, right? And like, I even started applying for jobs out of IT, like painting and delivery driver and all this. And it's like, they were like, do you have experience painting? And I'm like, well, I did construction years ago. And they were like, do you know how to use this specific spray? And I'm like, no. And they were like, how much are you looking for? And I'm like, this much, because that's how much it's going to cover the rent here now. And they were like, we don't pay anywhere near that. And I was like, well, I could take that job and then still be out of here. So I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I could take that job, but eventually it still wouldn't work. So I don't know what to do. I started my own company called Think Bite Studio, and I was hoping for I put a lot of work into this, right? Financial figures, reaching out to companies, setting up a main server, an app server, DNS, all that stuff. And, it hasn't been bringing in what I thought it would bring in. I thought reaching out to companies like, hey, providing them really low cost business IT services. Like, so this starting at $99 per month per employee is one of the lowest in the industry based upon my research. And and then like web hosting and total tech care, emergency IT support, like it's just, I'm not getting the clients, right? And I've talked to people and they were just saying like, hey, you got to understand that a lot of companies have contracts with other companies and you have to develop relations with them over the course of months. And then when their contracts end, then they might think about switching to you. And I was like, oh, okay. And they were like, yeah, so it's not like, hey, this is really cheap, the web hosting, the business IT services, and total home health tech care. It's not about that. It's about like, hey, we got contracts already, right? And total tech care, people don't want to spend a lot of money on personal tech, right? They're just figuring, I guess just doing it on their own or asking family and stuff like that. So I was hoping this would kind of really just kind of be the takeoff. I would have to invest approximately tens of thousands of dollars in terms of sales manager to get this off the ground, and I really just don't have that because I have to pay for the rent, kids, they're back to school, everything, and even though we have a good team, it just I don't know. And so I've been, I got a couple of clients. I've like StateDefenseForce.com, State Defense Force online store. So it is bringing in income. It's just, and then, also others that are hopefully in the works, but like in terms of like having a full staff that's fully paid at, the levels they were paid before, it takes a lot from what I've been seeing. But I just wanted to give you guys a rundown. And another reason why I guess I haven't been posting is because like I've been really depressed because of all this. Like I've been super like depressed, like barely getting out of bed kind of depressed because it's like, you apply for all these jobs, you have all this experience. I have like recruiters and supervisors are like, hey, you have an incredible amount of experience, like, but like, the amount of applicants they have, like they have network. I know people that are doing jobs that are getting paid a lot less than they should be, like network engineers, right? That should be getting paid this and they're getting paid that kind of thing. So like the market has definitely changed in terms of IT. And I was talking to one of my buddies who's a network engineer, and he was saying, yeah, it's very different now. And especially with the AI, like, you know, you could have switched to programming, but programming is going out the door because of AI. Microsoft just laid off 100 to 1,000 engineers, somewhere around there, because their ChatGPT is able to do the low-level programming for them. So yeah, it's tough IT right now. I'm thinking about like other fields, going back to college, retraining. I don't know. But I just want to kind of post this video. If you are interested in any of these services I can provide, website hosting, right? Business IT services, total tech, home care, you know, lock down your computers, providing purchasing advice, setting up your new phone, basically everything locked down for your computer, full privacy. So like your smart IoT devices are not pushing out data to you know, their manufacturer. We can like, you know, it's crazy that like you have like TP-Link is a good example, right? TP-Link and many other companies, right? You turn on a light, turn it off, right? They all collect that information. They know where your room is, you know, all this stuff. They collect all that information. One OEM was caught putting a microphone in their smart light switch, and they had like an excuse. Well, we were planning to add a feature down in the future, so that's why we added a mic. Pulling all that data, Microsoft pulling data with recall and everything like that. So like I thought of, hey, let's offer this solution as well as for our business clients. Lock down their computers, no data leaving it, right? Like a lot of companies that use Word, Excel, PowerPoint don't realize all that data that you're typing out goes to Microsoft. Let's stop that, right? Because you don't want to give them an edge, right? Especially if they're a competitor. So anyway, and also we have like this phone number here, $20 per call. Anything that's going on. I'm an Apple expert, worked in the Windows environment since 3.1, 1993, you remember that, all the way to Windows 11. I know like a lot of ways to lock down Windows, make Windows faster, like remove recall from computers so it doesn't snapshot everything you do on your computer. That's a big thing that's going on right now, where Windows recall is literally taking a screenshot every few seconds, and it's capturing your social security number, financial data, all that stuff. I forgot, Tom's Hardware had a good article on it recently. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to put out there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to put out content today and hopefully more each day. I'm trying to stay positive, not let the depression hit me, trying to keep moving, try to keep pushing. But yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. This is probably the hardest it's been in a long time. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy this. Catch you next one. See you then.